and welcome to today's video. And in today's video, I'll be discussing why the North Carolina Senate race could go to the Democrats. Now I think I've given this to the Republicans in I think basically every prediction. But I will be discussing why there is a good possibility that it does go to the Democratic Party. I'm hoping to make this a series of just election analyzation. I may return to some states, or at least for 2022, I may return to some states, depending on updates that happen. But I'll be discussing why there is a very good chance that North Carolina does flip to the Democrats. So I'm going to get started by looking at the current polling that we have. So from polling, it looks like the clear favorites are the clear favorite is Pat McCrory. I think I saw somebody somewhere, I might have been on Twitter, saying that Ted Budd was going to be the nominee. I highly doubt it. I find it unlikely that Budd is the nominee, especially given this polling, considering the fact that Budd was in last place in all of this. Yes, 44% of the vote was undecided, but still McCrory, or at least in that one, McCrory still doing very, very well. He is likely to be the nominee. Then the Democratic primary, Cherry Beasley is looking like she's going to be the nominee. Jeff Jackson, I think he's another good candidate. I think that he could also be a strong nominee. But it's looking like Beasley's going to beat him. It's close. It's close. But Jackson and Beasley are two fairly strong candidates. I would say that Beasley is probably stronger than Jackson. But they are both. Beasley is a strong. They're both strong candidates. Beasley is probably the stronger of the two. But looking at some of these, first off, we can start by looking at 2020. This is Beasley's race. I'm going to go up to the presidential one. Looking at this, Trump carried the state by 1.3%. Remember that, 1.3%. For those of you that did not know that, many of these races aren't going to be very relevant for what we're talking about. But then, or is it over here? The Supreme Court chief, Beasley, narrowly lost this. I don't even have the actual numbers pulled up. Actually, I can maybe go through, jumping through Wikipedia. But she, according on the New York Times, it was 50-50, which is obviously very, very close. I can't. I'm gonna be able to find it just right now. But 50, that's an incredibly narrow margin of victory. So Beasley overperformed Biden by 1.3%. Yes, Cherry Beasley was the incumbent and she still lost, but Trump was also on the ballot. So she already overperformed Biden by 1.3%, which even against a fairly decent nominee for the GOP would probably have her narrowly losing, or winning, or tying. It would be incredibly close if she was able to outperform Biden by an amount that would tie it, or probably narrowly lose it, since she did narrowly lose it. But that's already something. But then we also have to go look at Pat McCrory, since he is looking like he's likely going to be the nominee. Looking at his last governor election, he lost by 0.2, which does not necessarily seem like a lot, but you also have to remember the fact that not only was Trump on the ballot, Trump won by 3.6%, whereas he underperformed by like 3.8%. So even in 2020, Pat McCrory would have lost. But against a candidate, so if it's I'm just gonna do this math in my head, 3.8 in 2020, or if he underperformed by 3.8 and Trump only carried it by 1.3, I believe that would already be a 2 plus 5% margin of victory for the Democrats. If we factor in Beasley's overperformance, it's, what did I say, 2.5? That's like 3.8. That is a big margin of victory in a state like North Carolina. I think that the Democrats are going to have a lot of trouble flipping the state, just because, I've discussed it in a previous video. I don't think it's very likely that it does flip. I think it's probably more likely to flip in the Senate than in 2022 Senate than it is to flip in the 2024 presidential election. Just because of the possibility or the likelihood of a Cherry Beasley nomination. But I see Beasley realistically being able to win. I think that obviously a 3-point margin of victory is big. I think it's highly unlikely that she comes close to that. Just because of the fact that we do see, at least according to CNN. That's probably not the best information I could get it from. According to CNN exit polls, black voters were already at their fair share of the electorate. I guess their fair share of the electorate, but also at Democrats are winning them by a lot. But here's the thing: obviously, white voters in the South heavily favor the GOP, but the Democrats are also doing really bad in the suburbs. So if you have a candidate like Beasley who can do very well with the black vote and do well in the suburbs, and do pretty decent with the working class against a candidate like McCrory, who, he lost a governor's bid as an incumbent with Trump on the ballot. That's not a good sign for a Republican in a swing state, especially when Trump won the state by, that 3.6% margin of victory. That is not a good sign for if you're a Republican in the state. That is bad. But I don't know necessarily how we could see, given the overperformances and underperformances and whatnot, it's unlikely that we see Beasley lose this race if she's up against McCrory. If she's up against somebody else, it could be a bit of a different story. But I don't know that that's actually something that we even need to discuss, because it's looking more and more likely that she'll be up against McCrory, and it does look like the Democrats could expand their Senate majority with this, and especially considering the fact that if I go over here, if they were to flip North Carolina, New Hampshire's probably going to flip. Pennsylvania and maybe Wisconsin there's a potential that they're going to flip. We could see the Democrats with a 52-48 majority. And if Sununu chooses not to run in New Hampshire, we could see a 53-47 majority. Now, this is where it gets a little more unrealistic. Kuntz could beat Greens in Missouri. That's a very realistic possibility. I made a video on it. Tim Ryan could do very well in Ohio. All of a sudden, the Democrats have a very, very big majority. We could see, I forgot her name. I completely forgot her name. I'm going to go look her up real quick. Or, not look her up, but I found her on, this. Abby Finkenauer, could end up being the Democratic nominee in Iowa. If Grassley retires, Iowa could become competitive. It's not going to flip. Don't try to tell me Iowa's going to flip. But there are possibilities for the Democrats. The Democrats, I think, are definitely favored in the Senate. I think they could get a very large majority in the Senate. And, considering the fact that they're probably going to lose the House, and there's a good chance it's by a lot, that we could see almost like a chill 2014, chill 2010. If it's a very real possibility that happens, and this could be a very strange Congress with a very, very blue Senate and a very, very red House. But this is a very real possibility. In fact, Val Demings versus a really bad nominee. If Rubio ends up not winning, which how is he not gonna not win the nomination? But Demings is a fairly strong candidate. She could win Florida. It's not gonna happen. Don't try to tell me it is, but she is a fairly strong candidate. But this is a very real possibility. But I think that North Carolina is one of the most likely pickups for the Democrats, other than obviously Wisconsin and Pennsylvania. But we could see this happen. I think that if they're able to invest money into Iowa and Ohio, if they're able to raise enough money to actually be able to invest money in Iowa and Ohio, we could see a blue wave of sorts in the Senate, which is weird, especially considering the fact that we're probably going to see a red wave of sorts in the House. So yeah, thank you guys so much for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, please leave a like below. Stay tuned for my next video tomorrow. Subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. And I'll see you all tomorrow. Bye.